Welcome to Goodnight, Robin, your someone to say goodnight to. I'm your host, Robin Rice. Tonight, instead of a sponsor, I'm hoping that you'll help me out a little here. We need people, everybody, to just share this with one other person. If you're listening, to share it with someone who needs it, someone who could use someone to say goodnight to. You might have to help them learn how to download a podcast, and so that would be an amazing thing to help with. If they're not already on podcasts, you might have to help them find it. And then for yourself to subscribe and help them subscribe and then rate it after a while. Once you decide if you like it or not, hopefully you will like it. It would be so wonderful to have your support this way. Sharing, subscribing, and liking and rating, all of that kind of thing really helps us get the word out. And we need you for that. I can do all the good nights that I can do in the world, but sharing is what will make this a success. So I thank you in advance for any sharing you can do. Tonight, I want to talk to you about an interesting concept I learned about recently. One of my favorite poets is David Whyte, and I actually found this in Brain Pickings by Maria Popova. Maria Popova created Brain Pickings, which, if you don't know about it, is an absolutely wonderful newsletter full of highlights from literature that you will absolutely love. But she covered David Whyte recently and had this quote that really surprised me. It's this: anger is the deepest form of compassion for another, for the world, for the self, for a life, for the body, for a family, and for all our ideals, all vulnerable and all possibly about to be hurt. I was thinking, wow, what does this mean that anger could be the deepest form of compassion? I mean, usually I don't have people turn a thought on its head for me, but it really did. I was thinking about it, and I thought about one of the stories that really shaped my life early on was something that, in fact, I got very, very angry about. I was in a drugstore, and I was in line. The line was kind of long. And the man in front of me was elderly and very, very thin, and didn't look like he had an easy time, even getting to the store. And he put up a jar or a can of some kind of something up on the counter. And the lady said, and handed her a coupon. And the lady that was checking him through said, "I'm sorry, this coupon is for juice that isn't real juice." And he looked at her like, what was she talking about? And she said, "No, it's not for the real juice. You can't get real juice with this coupon." And I'm listening and I'm thinking, oh, how horrible. This guy has probably hardly any money. It really, really looked like he was struggling. And she sent him back to go get junk juice instead of real juice, because that's what he could afford, and that was what the coupon was. And I remember thinking, I would absolutely love to step in and pay for this juice, the real juice, so that he could have real juice. But the line was long, and I was afraid I would embarrass him. I didn't care how long it took. I just didn't want to embarrass him. And so I didn't say anything, and I didn't do anything. And normally in those situations, I actually do step in and say and do something. But I also think about, would this actually embarrass him more? Would he have less dignity if I did that? And that made me so angry. I was angry at a world that throws away our elderly. I was angry at, the system that was keeping us from real food in the first place. And I was pretty young then. I think I was a young mom, so maybe I was, 30. But it always stayed with me. And that anger, in fact, was one of my truest forms of compassion. So maybe David Whyte is right. Maybe this compassion is actually going to show up in the form of anger. And I wonder if that couldn't be a kind of inner test that we have for our anger. And maybe we're always angry because we care. Anyway, it got me thinking, and maybe I'm going to use that test now in the future when I get angry to say, well, is this just me caring? And maybe there's a better way to express it, but at least I know that that's what it is, or maybe could be. And, maybe I'm just personally offended as well. Maybe it isn't some really deep thing. But I like that idea, and I like ideas that change how I think. So I wanted to share it with you tonight. That's our show for tonight, short and sweet. I just want to say, good night, my friend.